have anything clever this time around. Let's use our Mega Stone and the power of friendship to evolve ourselves to a different state of being.
I'm sorry that we were doing that for the Mega Evolution special, so no.
Alright, let me restart then.
Mewtwo's back in the fucking building again?
Yeah, Mewtwo's back
Yes.
in the house, as we will say in the bees. Anyway, welcome back to the Silver Screen Conference, everyone. Your host here, Caven, welcomes you to the not Mega Evolution special. Joining me as usual are Digimon11.
If you hear a baby, that's my kid.
Shiroi.
Hi.
And Jova.
If you hear a baby, that means we're in the future.
Anyway, please, Jova, tell us what today's specimen name is.
Pokemon the movie, Genesect and the Legend Awakened.
Which in Japanese is...
Pocket Monsters, Best Wishes, the movie. Extreme Speed Genesect. Mewtwo Awakens.
I mean, it's actually fairly simple, but I do like the extreme speed title given to Genesect. I don't know, just like a slight extra pizzazz, so to speak.
Oh boy, this movie.
We're still in Unova, technically the last OVA tied to it. And we're still promoting legendaries because, as mentioned, Unova is a fuck ton of legendaries. But we also need to start promote Gen 6 to an extent. So what a conundrum. What do? Do we have any Gen 6 Pokemon going around? No. Let's instead promote one of the gimmicks that was going to actually be part of Gen 6, the Mega Evolutions. Except not really, because the Pokemon in question that has it in this movie has more of a rapid transformation similar to what Keldeo had, or even Kyurem had in the previous OVA. That being said, the story actually tries to be a bit, not a lot, but a bit more similar to the one of the other OVAs before the Keldeo one. So there are one or two, original human characters do not steal, and the plot involves a bit more, the town involved in this rather than to just be a very local kind of thing. But only do time. Where are we, Drova?
Alright, so our movie starts off out yonder in the wild, essentially. Basically, we come across a Genesect pod, essentially. Now, get this, apparently these are some Genesects that were created by Team Plasma. What? You mean to say Team Plasma have created yet another problem for the world? Must be a Tuesday. But yes, these Genesect basically want to go home. Far be it from me to try and paint that as just a simplistic means, but that is literally what the one that's basically a baby repeats, basically, that she wants to go home. They all want to go home.
That's also because the Genesects were created using a similar process to the fossil revival technique, as in, the Pokemon are ancient, but Team Plasma, augmented the original design with metal and shit, but they still have their primeval insect-like behavior of must reach the original colony.
So it's like if basically you made a Red Eyes Black Metal Dragon variant of Kabuto, basically, since, you can't mention Genesect without mentioning the theory that it's basically a roboticized Kabuto.
Kabutos, yeah.
Praise be to the Dome Fossil and all that. But what should stop these Genesects from, well, I guess just wandering about, but Mewtwo, who literally stumbles upon them. And here's where we get to quite possibly the biggest point of contention I've heard regarding this movie, because...
What, him getting kicked in the throat and having a completely different voice?
Yeah, okay, so what I have regarded, one of the reasons why this movie has a reputation amongst the fan base is that supposedly advertising suggested that this was going to be the long-awaited return of Ash's good old pal Mewtwo, essentially. This did not turn out to be our Mewtwo. This was a completely different Mewtwo who I guess is female, which...
Okay, so apparently, I have to look this up. There was a high-end anime special that had, I believe his name was Virgil, a guy who had a whole bunch of evolutions. That does explain that, yeah, this is basically a Mewtwo made by Team Plasma. Like, it goes more in depth with that.
I mean, the flashbacks that the
how
OVA
yeah.
showcases still give enough context. Team Plasma
Yeah.
utilized a technique similar to the one of Team Rocket, just they have their own Mewtwo. Mewtwo escaped, but in this case, Getsis did not do what Giovanni did and did not manage to catch Mewtwo in time, so this Mewtwo just decides to live off in the mountains because during her escape, she was caught inside a cave and nursed back by other Pokemon around the area.
Yeah,
I'd
apparently
say
it's
the movie
called...
doesn't quite make that clear, though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
apparently
yeah,
it's
yeah.
called Mewtwo Prologue to Awakening. I guess we probably should have seen that first. Oops.
Well, I
Okay,
did not
okay.
know about it.
To our credit, though, imagine all those people who went to the theater without seeing that or knowing that they needed to see
It's almost
it.
like they probably should have packaged the short with the movie, like a lot of theaters tend to do.
Yeah, why didn't they? Like, you can't fault general audience goers for, not seeing a short that they may not have even known existed. And like Shiroi alluded to, yeah, the movie technically explains stuff, but it's not clear. But the biggest problem that I've been able to surmise that people have with it is that this goes against the idea of the Pokemon world lore, essentially. The idea that Mewtwo was supposed to be a super special Pokemon case. Now, obviously, in the games, we have to console with the fact that there are ways for people to get multiple legendaries at some point. Hell, there was a Dorkly series that pretty much just joked that actually legendaries are just how rare they are, essentially. But the main point of contention with this movie from fans is, first and foremost, this isn't the Mewtwo that we're familiar with, essentially. It's a whole nother Mewtwo, so why should we care, essentially? Now, to the movie's credit, it does try to get us to care about this new Mewtwo. That being said, and I'm getting a bit ahead of myself, but part of the problem I feel is that this movie is way less plot and more just Pokemon battles. Like, if you're here for Pokemon battles, congrats, the animation is pretty good on that, but the story is kinda lacking. Speaking of which, yes, the Mewtwo fights with the Genesects, most notably the red one, who's the leader. Whereas most of the Genesects seems to just mind their own business, the red one seems to want war, which... Okay, here's where we come to another point of contention, apparently. I've been told by some people that apparently the Genesects are out of character for this movie. Like, I have not...
no idea because if I recall correctly, Dad helped me out on this one. For Gen 5, Genesect was still treated like another mythical Pokemon that you needed to get from events.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, that's the ironic thing. Okay, I'll give this movie credit. For the first time, it's the mythical Pokemon that's more so the antagonist, not the legendary, essentially.
Drova, depending on your definition of antagonist, we might have a precedent with Shaman.
Yeah.
Well, guys, Shaman was supposed to be the good guy.
Ironic that Satan was more of the hero of that movie.
God.
Yes. But yeah, no, like, basically, the main force to contend with are the Genesects, specifically the red one who just chooses violence. I've heard people go multiple ways on this, like, and I'll admit, I'm not the big expert on how Genesect's supposed to be, but from what I've been able to surmise from a co-writer on a roleplay I'm a part of, is that supposedly Genesects are supposed to just always be bloodthirsty and want violence, but
according to its Pokedex entry, I'm reading it right now, over 300 million years ago, it was feared as the strongest of hunters. It has been modified by Team Plasma.
So it's the Predator, but modified by Team Plasma. Regardless, though, yeah, this movie changes stuff up. First off, it exposits that Team Plasma were the ones who created them. And secondly, these guys aren't really bad. They don't want to fight, except the red one. The red one's all about that violence and everything, but
there is in particular just one of the troops, quote unquote, that really just ponders more about the environment, and the things around. In particular, the Lotus, kind of plant, which will be incorporated later for the end of the movie.
I emphasize the red one wants violence because of
Yeah.
what happens way later in the movie, but let's get back to the plot, essentially. They fight with the Mewtwo's and, well, basically part ways from there. Which leads us to finally going with Ash and Company, Ash, Iris, and Cylin, to the central area of New Torque City.
Get it?
It is literally one letter off from New York City.
And even in
Congratulations,
design,
Dedge.
they're literally in the equivalent of Central Park.
Congratulations, Dedge. You finally made it into a Pokemon movie. And it's the Genesect movie. So, anyway, yeah, like Teal mentioned, we're basically in the Central Park area of here, where it's basically a nature park for Pokemon. They all pretty much live happily there, essentially. It's all well and good.
Yeah, we get
That
the
is
whimsical
until-
moment right away, complete with the new human character, which I don't even remember his name, like Eric.
Eric, I think
Eric.
his name.
He's basically the not ranger, but the curator of the park, because it's a very restricted area compared from the city. But he's such a nothing burger of a character. You would think that they would establish him early to be, important for the movie. Maybe just as support, not being the central human character of it like in other OVAs. But no, to spoil in advance, he disappears very quickly as the action moves on, and he spends the rest of the movie occasionally, and I mean very occasionally, cutting back to him doing mission control from a room. That's it.
Good for him.
He looks like a beta clump.
He looks like a beta.
Yeah.
So
I that's why I hesitated. I was like, wait a minute.
So, Dej, we finally got a Pokemon movie literally in New York City, and it's the Genesect movie.
Yeah,
How do you
wasn't that
feel?
literally the last one before as well?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we made those comparisons as well, but this one is way more on the nose. Like, the last one is like big city, definitely gave feelings of New York City, but this one legit has like the look and layout
And
of
the
the
name
islands and
to boot.
everything.
Also, speaking of human characters who still do nothing for the final movie, unfortunately, having to report, okay, Iris manages to do a bit in this movie, but arguably not as much as the previous one, because she tried to use more her Dragonite in this movie. Cylon is just there. Like,
Yeah.
Christ, even his team sucks. He still has this stupid monkey, Crustle, I think, evolved from the evolved form, and Stunfisk, so it's a terrible team to boot, And throughout the movie, he basically does nothing. Like, okay, don't get me wrong, I was kind of championing for, potentially for anyone who did, took the place of Brock, just for giving a bit of a fresh air, maybe a new gimmick instead of having just the womanizer, gimmick as well. But Silence so far has done, in these movies, has done nothing. And it's not even a case where he's bad, he's just nothing, really.
He just kind of exists.
Like, okay, to give him credit, guys, remember, he actually got to do a sizable amount in the last movie where he distracted Curium with that electric train
in
trick
this,
and everything.
I think he just, helps. He has lines, obviously, but I honestly don't remember a single one of them.
He helps Mewtwo during the final fight, essentially.
Oh, but
that's pretty much all I
we
can
have better
remember.
news. Who is instead actual human to an extent, also partially characters that actually get to do stuff in this movie?
Team Rocket!
I know, I'm just as shocked as the rest of you.
Okay, for those who are new here, basically during Black and White, essentially, thanks to them helping deal with Hunter J, Giovanni basically gave them a promotion. They got new black outfits, and for a lot of Black and White, they were actually very successful at the Pokemon ploy. But get this, fans apparently didn't like that. So apparently near the end of the anime, they lost a lot of the Pokemon that they curated, which apparently set them relatively back.
Team Rocket didn't bring any of their Pokemon there because they're from Kanto and they didn't want any eyes on them. Miyamoto's like, wait, that puts a target on me. But they do capture some Pokemon in Unova just so they can have something. Like, I know James has an Among Us.
Yeah, no, the thing is that towards the end of the series, they screw up so badly that in order to save face to Giovanni, they literally gift him the Pokemons that they actually captured there in Unova. What is Team Rocket doing in this movie?
Hey, so Team Rocket are once again tailing after Ash and company, but this time Team Rocket come about the Genesect, basically. Okay, so we skirted over it, but Ash, during the whimsical moment, runs into what I will refer to as the baby of the Genesect army,
the baby,
basically.
like Samus.
He manages to strike up a friendship with the Genesect, but of course, Mr. Red and Angry Genesect comes in, berates him, and knocks him aside and forces her to come with him, essentially.
I would like to point out that the moment Ash meets the baby is... They try to pass it off as another whimsy moment, but it feels so fucking stupid because Ash... Okay, the Genesect as a way of not disguising, but to retreat into a two-dimensional kind of, being that resembles more like of a plate or a surfboard. Ash doesn't seem to, understand that what he has in front might be a Pokemon instead of actually, anything else, like a utensil or something. Doesn't whip out his Pokedex, because of course, and instead just stomping on the fucking thing, which obviously animates, and we get a sequence of him surfing on the pond that is in the center of the dome where we're in. Like,
now,
again, it's all played for whimsy, but it just felt a waste of time to me.
Now, to his credit, we later find out that there's apparently no data on Mewtwo or Genesect, so I'm guessing whipping out the Pokedex wouldn't have done anything for a Pokemon that hasn't been discovered yet, essentially.
Feels like an attempt should have been made, nonetheless.
Fair point. But yeah, no, he makes friends with the baby, but of course, the red Genesect ain't having that. Basically whisks her away, and then they proceed to basically take over Central Park, essentially. Specifically, the Nature Park, which has a reactor, which can apparently allow them to terraform that part of the world into what they consider their home,
because
which
they're
is
insects, they
mountains.
produce a silk that hardens, a bit similar to what termites do in order to build their nest, It's a secretion that hardens and becomes not rock, but, compact in terms of, as a surface. Worth noting that the Pokemon there are a bunch of Pokemons already there, they were part of a musical moment, that have to be evicted by the whole thing, and there's the one true Chad of the movie, one single Fraligator, who keeps saying no and tries to fight the Genesect, all of them, as much as he can. Obviously he's not a match, but god if he tries.
But yeah, with that, we have our conflict. The Genesects are taking over, essentially. But yeah, no, they basically kick them out. And not only do they start to terraform the area there, they end up messing with the power to the city, essentially. And as you can imagine, if they take out the power grid, that'll mean the city will be enveloped in darkness and chaos will ensue, essentially. Team Rocket, meanwhile, are getting the idea to, hey, let's capture these Genesect and pretty much control it ourselves, which I'll admit, given that this is Team Rocket where they're back to a more villainous role, I thought, okay, these are technically a more competent Team Rocket. Maybe they could actually be the main antagonists. In fact, they even go in, ready to fight the Genesects, with a flipping rocket launcher like it's Resident Evil.
I do wonder if it was an actual explosive or it was one of their shoot a projectile that becomes a net in order to capture the Pokemon. They have been doing that a couple of times.
Although, given that the Genesects were very, very potent, I guess they would need to have a very, very good net stored into that. Unfortunately, they don't get to fire it, because they accidentally dropped the launcher.
Yeah.
Whoops. And then they run off.
They're not blasted off immediately, we get to see them again. It's still worth noting that Team Rocket still doesn't get to actually meet Ash and the others in this movie, because they conveniently miss each other, but it's a considerably better effort than the previous two movies.
And hey, technically that rocket launcher is a Chekhov's gun, because later, Ash, I guess, proves he's good to the Genesect by stopping the rocket launcher from hitting the baby Genesect on the head.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if that would have even really hurt her, but he stopped it all right. Yeah, no, there's not really too much story to talk about. Like, okay,
No.
afterwards, Ash and company meet up with the Mewtwo, who basically reveals her own backstory stuff. Now, she's not as tough on humanity. She doesn't trust them immediately, but she's a lot easier to win over than the original Mewtwo. But yeah, I'm gonna say it. Her story is kind of, in many ways, kind of a redux of the original Mewtwo's. Born in a lab, killed everyone in the lab, escaped, basically.
It's like there were some legal copyright issues that they couldn't use the Mewtwo that we're all familiar with, and they can only use it back when they had to remake that weird CGI thingamajig and bring it back in Journeys.
It feels like she's a retelling of the original Mewtwo, and like, it's not like there's some big narrative purpose from her being like Mewtwo, if not. Ash acts like this is the first time he's ever met a Mewtwo. I am pretty sure they could have at least had him not do that, and that would not have breached copyright.
Like, I guess we're not...
This was the whole confusing thing about it. I was like, wait, am I misremembering something?
Like,
or
are
is
they
the movie
pretending
just...
Mewtwo Returns is not canon or something?
Which wouldn't make sense because we've had other episodes clearly showcasing that Mewtwo Returns did happen, and
Joe and Deji speculated that it might have been possible that Mewtwo Returns had a localization problem, that it mentioned in the English script that Ash's memory was not wiped, while in the original might have, but no, it's not even that. So, technically speaking, Ash should remember Mewtwo.
This is my biggest problem with this movie in general. Like, it treats continuity like a suggestion. And no, not in the typical way Pokemon does. I mean, for all the obvious retcons we have to do, since pretty much every movie we introduce a whole new legend that we magically didn't know about until now, this is them basically looking at well-established movies, because, like, this isn't just any old Pokemon movie. This is Mewtwo Strikes Back we're talking about. Like, even if that movie's not the best, it's highly regarded as one of the classics, just off of virtue of being the first Pokemon movie. Literally in the title. It's like, you would have been better off just having Ash never mention about the Mewtwo, rather than him acting like this is the first time he's ever seen a Mewtwo. It's so jarring. Like, again, I could definitely theorize that originally they had the original Mewtwo in, but by the time the legal troubles came up, they couldn't change it, so they had to basically just stick a different voice onto this Mewtwo along with a basically edited backstory, essentially. And unfortunately, as a result, while this Mewtwo is fine and gets stuff done, I kinda don't find myself resonating with her that much. Again, it's only because she is sadly fighting for backstory time along with the Genesects, who the movie also focuses on. Even though they don't talk as much, the red one and the baby do most of the talking, but still. The overall conflict is this. We gotta stop the Genesects before they drain the town dry, essentially.
And that's basically the rest of the movie. Not even joking. Most of the rest of the movie is just a fight scene between Mewtwo and specifically the Genesect Red leader. Because the others, while they do start the fight, eventually step down for one reason or another. Either they're defeated or they are busy doing something else, you know. But
also fighting the nature Pokemon led by the pissed off Alligator, which, okay, I have to wonder. Did somebody just really hate the fact that Ash never evolved his Totodile and went, fine, I'll do it myself, and basically had a Feraligatr?
Or maybe someone just liked Feraligator's ass from Sprite from, Gen 4 remakes. That's possible.
Pokemon favoritism is possible. I mean, look at Charizard, still to this day.
Which is in this movie, by the way. He's basically there for the paycheck.
And that's the thing. Ash's Charizard is in this movie. He barely uses Charizard to help out with the fights, essentially. It's like
biggest disappointment in that movie.
Also, at one point, there is a relatively, not lengthy, but there is a definitely present sequence where Mewtwo and the Genesect are fighting in the heart of the city, of New York City, even including a couple of key building, royalty-free building, like the equivalent of a Flatiron building or Times Square, for example. And the biggest speculation is because this movie was done in 2013, that they were trying to ape up a bit the climax of the first Avengers movie, which was released the year before. Like,
What?
it might sound a bit too cynical, but I can't believe it actually was, an inspiration.
I mean, I don't consider that to be a cynical take. That's more of a that's what you were doing. You were just homaging something that you actually really like.
I wouldn't try to call something, a rip-off just because it's similar to a project that is really close to that, There are indeed things such as coincidences similar to what we have seen in with Evangelion and Xenogears.
But yeah, no, basically, fight. Mewtwo basically takes the fight with Red Genesect. The other Genesects fight the Pokemon, who are actually able to fight back pretty well, essentially. The baby Genesect has 1, 2, 3 fake out deaths.
Yes,
I'm not even exaggerating.
A couple of times also, okay, at least 2, not a lot, but at least 2 of them are in order to protect Ash, which sadly this movie tries to rail him back to the whole I must protect, everyone with my whole body instead of remembering to be an actual Pokemon trainer. Which is weird and inconsistent because there are cases where he does remember to ask help from his Pokemon to solve a problem, like during a case where electrical discharge ignites the hardened silk, creating a fire. So he tries to use Deji's favorite Pokemon, his Oshawott, to actually, extinguish it with water. So there is logic in that. But then later on, he tries to put himself physically between the fight between, Mewtwo and Red Genesect, basically trying to have a poor man equivalent of the Pokemon should not fight like this from Pokemon from the first OVA movie.
Oh yes, there are quite a few throwbacks to the first movie, even to the point where Ash gets in between Mewtwo and the other mythical Pokemon.
It's just so distracting, and the worst part about it is that, as I noticed, it could have been either superfluous or being placed in a different part of the movie, because literally the fight is put on pause. You would think that Ash's, behavior would at least have the Red Genesect see reason for a bit, even with the the baby taking the bullet, but that's not what happened. So instead, Mewtwo just decided to, fine, I'm gonna use the ultimate move, which is carry the son of a bitch up into the stratosphere, up until being in the stratosphere, seeing how the world is around, the Red Genesect is like, you know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe this world is actually worth living and not killing the rest of everyone.
Man, someone should have done this to Lysander.
And not just that, this also gets the Red Genesect to say, we're all friends, just like the other Genesects, and
where does this come from?
Look, the point is that you shouldn't have made the Red Genesect basically the ultimate killer machine. This thing would make a xenomorph blush with how much it wants to destroy, maim, kill anything that it deems not part of its family, which is basically anything that's not a Genesect. It deciphered Ash so much as holding hands or petting the baby as violence. But no, show it the world and it's like, you know what? We're all friends. Never mind me trying to kill you or
maybe it was the lack of oxygen that did the trick. I don't know.
But it's a robot. Does it need
I don't know what to tell you, Droba. Because that's it. That's your happy ending, basically. The Genesect get to live there. Eric says that he studied a bit about the Genesect and discovered that they cared about the lily pads, and now they're part of the park. And that's it. Team Rocket got blasted in the meantime, and cut to credits.
Okay, question. Because what was it implied that the Genesect's home was that place originally, and then it got taken? Yeah, so I guess that was
the entire point why they invaded that space was because they registered the geological location as the place that they used to live.
They found the flowers that were from their
the lily pads. Yes,
and they wanted their home back. And
this is what Eric discovered in the meantime, as I mentioned. But again, it's so rushed and poorly explained, and I don't know what happened, because, for example, with a simpler plot, the previous OVA managed to still convey everything relatively just fine, you know?
The plot here feels like it wants to be more deep than the last movie, yet somehow it feels more shallow.
Like, again, even with the supporting characters, Iris did something by having her Dragonite do something in battle alongside Ash's Charizard, but again, Silent did nothing. Team Rocket got to do a bit of something, but then got blasted away anyway and still does not interact with Ash. For being the last Unova movie, this is a very weak note to end on.
Like I mentioned, Silent definitely he technically gets to help when Ash and company catch Mewtwo when she's falling. Oh yeah, right. In regards to the Mega Evolution, basically Mewtwo can just become Mega
Like
Mewtwo.
I said,
fly
it's
on
the
the
equivalent
fly.
of Qrem in the last movie. Just flip it over and over and over like that. It's like Mewtwo motherfucker believes she's Mega Rayquaza.
Which kind of makes me wonder why they didn't just have her use both of her Mega Forms then. if you're
Probably
going
that's
to
the only
basically
one that
play
the
it
team
like
knew
that.
at the time. I don't know. That's speculation.
Oh, well.
Or maybe it's because Mega Mewtwo Y is the one that they wanted to promote more. Kind of like how they
Possible.
promoted Mega Charizard X more than Charizard Y.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna be honest. Like, at first I thought this movie was just fine, but the more I thought about it, the more I thought, this movie kind of sucks, it feels like. Like, okay.
This is so funny to me.
I'm sorry, Shiroi, I know that
We'll
you
get
like this
there.
movie, but
Also,
No wonder you were surprised when you asked me. He's like, "Oh, what did you think of the movie?" I liked it. No wonder you sounded surprised.
Also, just to mention another thing, they do get quite a bit of mileage out of the pond where they're in the setting, because both Mewtwo and the Genesect keep falling into it like constantly throughout the movie. It gets comical. You can make a drinking game out of that.
oh yeah. Let's not forget the fact that they fall to Earth after that little space maneuver, so we
And
gotta
everyone
save
needs
them.
to actually have like a super maneuver, like a net or something, and then a bubble to contain
And-
them.
I mean, they do try. Yeah.
Yeah.
And hey, Ash gets to show off his upper body strength by proceeding to dive into the water and save them from
Sure,
drowning.
after all, he's the chosen one according to Temple of the Sea, so I get at this point he can do everything underwater.
Prophecies are vague.
Tio, according to this movie, he's as strong as a feraligator, so
Bullshit, I say.
maybe that's why he. Tio, maybe that's why he.
we need to see Ash and Tio in a fist fight, and Tio gets knocked out within 30 seconds. It's like, oh.
But guys, him being super strong would explain why he tends to try and body check stuff, because he knows he can tank it. Never forget that he was able to tank a Pokemon move better than a legendary in Pokemon Heroes.
Alright
That's
then,
so weird.
That's our usual awards. What do we start with?
Alright, we start with the Mewtwo Award, which is the best character. Ironically, I don't think it'll be going to the titular character this time.
Oh, come on.
Well, I do
Tio
want
goes
stuff
first because I know what his MVP is.
Froligator, like, come the fuck on. Like, taking aside what our thoughts of the movies are, Froligator really is just awesome in this movie. The motherfucker never gives up, and that's
Yeah.
kind of commendable. And even in later scenes, where, for example, the fire is to be put out and Oshawo tries to use, water gun, here comes fucking Froligator with Hydro Pump to show the water type how it's done. So, cool. Again, cool guy and all. Next.
Shiroi?
Okay, so a lot of the characters are just kind of, pretty whatever in these movies. Not that they're bad, just, okay, you do your job, that's fine. I actually, the movie does not a very good job at explaining things, but I do quite like the Mewtwo that we got. Okay.
That's smart.
Look, it's perfectly fine, Shiroi. It wasn't my cup of tea, but I won't act like this movie is, completely devoid of anything good.
And hey, at least she tried to deal with everything instead of making it everyone else's problem, even if she was a bit, antsy about it with everyone at the start.
She does try to use diplomacy as much as she can, yes.
Yeah, I do quite
Yeah.
like that. Even though, like, because we see at the beginning, she's not, too fond of the team, but she is wary of other humans when the big fights are happening. So,
The ironic thing is that, to give this movie credit, it's one of the few that doesn't go to humans being the true evil. Like, no, the problems are all caused by Pokemon in this one.
Well, technically, the reason why the Pokemon are even in conflict is because of how humans just changed the area. So, in
So
a way,
it's just a misunderstanding rather than to having a master swirling guy like Lawrence the Third was in the second movie.
it's
God, what
going
a
to be
waste of a
really bad when
character.
you were previously extinct, but then you're suddenly alive again and everything is different. That's going to cause some problems.
Yeah.
So-
The Genesect needs therapy, that's what we're saying.
Therapy for all of you, including the Mewtwo.
Including Ash.
No, that's it. I like the Mewtwo for this movie, actually.
Jova?
Can I say N? Since he is in
God,
this
I forgot when
movie.
his robot shows up for a second in the credits.
Okay,
I mean,
if N
not
does...
the first cop out of a technicality, I guess.
I mean,
Alright.
that's a cop out because by that logic, I can say Cynthia, but no, I won't because I'm better than
Also,
that.
that
Alright,
I'd like to
alright.
bet she's still off a model in these credits. I don't know why they keep ruining her.
Alright. Seriously speaking, if N's too much of a cop-out, I'll go with Ash. Like, Ash has issues, but for the most part, I feel like he contends his role fine enough. Like, yeah, he does some reckless stuff, but I'll give him credit that his diplomacy here is much better than earlier movies where he really just shouted out, "No, this is wrong." Like, I can get the semblance that he actually did get a true understanding with the Genesect and how to help them. So yeah, Ash.
Dedge.
Wow, this is hard. I guess maybe Red Genesect because it's cool and it actually had a good fight.
Yeah, just insert
Fair enough.
any
works.
of Mick Gordon Doom soundtrack every time he speaks, and we should be good to go.
Yeah,
I mean, look, it's like I said. One thing this movie does get right is Pokemon fights. If you like those, you're gonna get very well animated fights.
keep this in mind for the Hoopa movie.
Alright, next award, Dedge.
The Go Award, which goes to the worst character in this movie.
Someday,
Shira, you go first.
Worst character.
Let me guess, you wanna go for 3 and pick Silent again?
I was gonna say, I feel like I'm being too mean to him. He literally just exists. Okay, fine. I'll be fair. I'll pick Iris because she does just as little in this movie. So.
she technically got to do more since she actually used her Dragonite in this one.
I don't remember her a lot in this movie.
Crap.
I'm sorry.
Can I choose my best character or change it to Sableye? Because that was actually pretty useful.
Oh God, I forgot.
To be fair,
Sableye
that's the
was
thing.
in this
Outside of
movie.
from the beginning, it doesn't do a lot. It uses a bit of psychic powers towards the end to shape the water into the bubble.
It's still more than what Silent did.
Fair enough.
Damn.
Well, too late.
Yeah, I'm just balancing
Yeah.
things out by picking Iris. I'm sorry.
Sure. Well, I'm gonna go next. I wanted maybe to pick Silent myself because it would be easy enough. But honestly, I'm so weird to say this, to be honest. Pikachu. Have you noticed that we never mentioned him in this recap until now? Because
He did Iron Tail, and that's all I
Once,
remember.
he shockingly does almost nothing in this movie. At least in the previous ones, he did get to do at least one electric attack. But I don't think he does that in this way. Maybe I think he does that when it comes to actually having to parry, move away the rocket launcher that's falling. Maybe I don't remember that much. But honestly, Pikachu really almost has virtually no presence in this, and I don't know why. Did the writers knew not to do what not to do with him? So fucking weird.
It really is.
I would have picked Cylon otherwise, but that's the thought that counts.
Like Pikachu got his introduction, and then that was it.
Okay, go on, Drover.
Did less than Team Rocket.
I'm going to follow the trend of not going with silence since that feels like a cop-out too easy answer. Now instead, I'm gonna go for Red Genesect. Look, Red Genesect looks cool. He is menacing. And you know what? I don't even mind that he got redeemed. No, my problem is that his redemption just doesn't make any sense. Like, okay, he sees the beauty of the world, but I'm sorry, wasn't he already familiar that some parts of the world were indeed beautiful? That's why he wanted to recreate his home. So, how does him seeing the Earth
From
solve the
space.
problem? Was he...
Again, that's the weird part. When you say this out loud, the villain gets convinced of how beautiful the world is by viewing it from space. That's like the kind of sentence that gets you booted out of, the pitching room.
It's like, I don't even get it. Like, and look, for as much as we dunk on Steven Universe for how it redeems some of its villains, this feels like something that Steven Universe would laugh at. Like, what, was he like a flat earther who was now convinced the Earth is round or something? Like, I'm sorry, but that would make more sense than just he sees the Earth and deems it's beautiful. And I get it, you want to have a happy ending or whatnot, but I feel like there needed to be some other drafts done. Like, I'll admit, there's stuff like Red Genesect makes me wonder if this movie was rushed to meet a deadline, essentially.
With the Mewtwo shenanigans, I wouldn't be surprised if it was a little bit.
Yeah, so Red Genesect's my least favorite, which is a shame because red's my favorite color.
Dedger.
What's the name of the scientist guy that it was introduced earlier?
Eric. Yeah.
Eric, yeah, what a disappointment.
Like, he does something, but still.
It's like, he feels like a character that should have appeared more, done more, but it feels like how the early movies when they created an original character and they're barely there. Like, remember Pokemon 3 that had Beta May?
Mm-hmm.
Lights, I believe. It feels like a character should have. Or Pokemon 2000 had gender bent Ethan.
I mean, at least she drove the boat to get us there.
And then she just exits stage and left from the plot.
Okay, so I guess that's
well, look at that, guys. We managed to clear the award without giving it to Silen.
Silen. For his last appearance, nonetheless. So the fucker is gone after this.
I feel like while he did get some good showing in the series, he's a contender for the weakest Brock replacement to me.
So you say Betrays is actually better than him?
I say Silen's a contender. I'm not sure I'm ready to say he's worse than Tracy.
I mean, I would say Tracy has a better Pokemon team. Like I said, everyone who catches a Cypher is worth my respect.
Yeah, but he's the artist and never got caught a Smirgle.
Fair
enough. I'm sorry. I'm still mad at that.
The copium is strong. All right.
At the end of the day, Clement is still the best Brock replacement.
Well, that's what we'll have to find out in Gen 6, I guess. All right, for the time being, next award.
This is where we count our favorite scene in the film. Jeva, you want to go first?
Oh boy, okay. This one I'm probably gonna have to go easy route on, but the final fight scene, city-wise, between Mewtwo Y and Red Genesect. Like I've said, this is a movie that you come to for the fight scenes and not much else, and to their credit, yeah, they do those pretty good, actually. My favorite one is specifically the final city-wide one, essentially, where Mewtwo is doing her best to make sure that humans don't get harmed despite some buildings getting blasted into, and us seeing it citywide, essentially. It's arguably one of the best uses of the CGI in this movie as well, so, yeah. Favorite scene is that final fight scene.
Answer?
Okay, so, while we complain about it, if you look at it in... God, I can't believe I'm saying this. If you look at it in a vacuum... The scene where Mewtwo pulls up Genesect Red with all her strength, and they look at space and fall down Sonic Adventure 2 style.
In terms of the animation, basically.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay, yeah, sure, Roy.
All right. I'm gonna say the entire opening sequence for similar reasons. The animation is actually really good in this movie. I think the
Yeah.
shots included, like it's a whatever you think of the story. This is like a great looking movie. It's kind of that way pretty much throughout. It's just really good. So yeah, just the opening like first 5 minutes or so.
That leaves me.
Very fun.
God, it's kind of hard because while I don't think there are, absolutely terrible scenes in the movie outside of, how the plot is conveyed, as we mentioned, I don't think there's any particular scene that really stands out that hasn't been picked. Like, the fight scenes are pretty good on their own, but that's basically what most of the movie is, I would say part of the Times Square stuff, because there's also one scene where the Pokemon almost causes collateral damage, and compared to the previous movie, they do remember to have people in the city that almost remain victim of said collateral damage. So the makers bother to remember that, but I'm picking that basically out of a technicality. Alright, what's last, Edge?
And the worst scene in this movie.
Okay, I guess I
You wanna
will go
go
next.
first, you?
Yeah, why
You know
not?
what? No, because I never technically open it.
Go on.
I'll say it. The scene where Ash runs in and tries to stop, like,
God damn it! I was about
Did
to.
you do that on purpose, Deshi?
yeah.
Wait, was everyone thinking about picking that scene? God damn.
At least I was.
I wasn't actually.
Because it just felt like this is the first movie again, especially with how the Pokemon were fighting. And I even said when me, Teo, and Joe were watching, I said Pokemon aren't meant to fight. Not like
Not
this.
like this.
Not
Like
like
that.
this. And again, like
Yeah,
I
that was-
said, the fight literally just stopped for the purpose of the movie as a whole. It's just a waste of time because the fight resumes almost immediately and gets concluded. So if anything, it could have just had the whole ending and then Ash could have complained. Would have the same result. But as for me, my pick for worst scene, the last time we get to see Team Rocket, because despite being a significant improvement over the previous OVAs, Team Rocket still unfortunately doesn't get to do as much as one would want. And so during the last appearance, after a while after they tried to use the bazooka on the Genesect, sorry, they tried to sneak away. But if I recall correctly, the construction of the dome with the hardened silk is enough to actually push them away, and they don't even get blasted in the sky, but into another pond that is far away in North Central Park. That's it. They just have another appearance in the credits, and that's it. Like, again, it's a marginal improvement over the previous Team Rocket appearances, but it's still a symbol of the fact that the writers have not that many ideas on what to do with them, unfortunately. Jova.
I'm gonna go for the next obvious one. Basically, Red Genesect saying, we're all friends, essentially. It's like, look, if you wanted to have him be redeemed, but maybe have him requisition himself to solitude, which could even be resolved in a sequel, sure. Here's the thing. This movie was way too short to just have Red Genesect go, oh, now I'm a good guy, happy-go-lucky, smile, cheers, and joy, and not have that feel forced as all hell, essentially. Like, yes, it's nice that he's not on constant permanent violence mode, but for him to just suddenly go, we're friends, and everyone to go, ah, that's all well and nice, ignoring the fact that, again, he forced Pokemon off their land, essentially, tried to terraform it, was going to potentially destroy the city, all with that and everything. Quite a thing to come back from. Like, even Mewtwo, as villainous as he was in the first movie, essentially, was shell-shocked enough to see Pokemon literally crying enough to the point where he could surmise that, hey, maybe not all humans are bad, I should maybe reconsider this whole trying to dominate the
Also,
world with
remember,
closing.
for the purpose of the first movie, at least for the original script, Mew was significantly worse because the fucker was willing to excise away clones because of weird, eugenics thoughts. Like, Jesus.
There's also context to why Mewtwo was like that in the movie, and it was because he had his memories erased.
Again, though,
So
the
he didn't
point-
know how to feel or what his purpose was. So it's like, I guess, no.
Basically, the main thing is Red Genesect is not Mewtwo, the original Mewtwo by any standards. And I'm sorry, that scene where it's all just happy-go-lucky here doesn't feel earned. I'm sorry.
Shiroi.
I don't really know, honestly. There wasn't anything that was particularly egregious. Since, aside from Team Rocket, you guys already mentioned this before we got to this point, but this movie does have a habit of introducing more than one set of characters and then doing literally nothing with them.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a consistent movie problem. So yeah, not one scene, but more like a trend that happened throughout it, I think, if we can count that as a pick.
We didn't even mention the minor subplot of Nurse Joy being worried about the electricity in her Pokemon Center because it really means nothing.
Yeah. So just that little bad habit the movie had for me.
Alright, I guess
Alright,
that's
then.
pretty much it. That leaves final thoughts and score.
All right.
Alright. This movie is a mess and it's difficult for me to rate. It's clearly a step down compared to the previous movies, especially the Unova ones. Because while I do believe that on paper the plot is not too bad, at least on general level, the Genesect are fish out of water, so in this case insects out of waters. Mewtwo has her reason to be a protector of the place. The two clashes against each other, but Mewtwo has a reason to, be diplomatic instead of being aggressive, while instead it's Genesect, who is aggressive, at least one of them. Right, rinse and repeat until one side sees reason, and somewhere Ash is in there. Again, on paper it's not too bad. The execution is unfortunately the detrimental factor for this movie. The animation, as mentioned, is actually pretty good. The music could be better. The obligatory pop songs in either version, both Japanese and English, are not really my cup of tea. Like I said, I keep preferring the ballad. Side note, I don't think I noticed the mother and daughter combo that have been showing up since the Lucario movie. Maybe they're in one of the group shots, but I must have missed them in case. Just to note. Anyway, presentation-wise then the movie is fine. You can definitely tell it still has that extra quality that wants to justify a theatrical release. But again, the execution of the plot is just too much of a mess for it to be as elevated as the previous movies. Even the black and white movie, which was technically better than this, I wouldn't call it the worst Pokemon movie that we have seen so far. There are, much worse going around, but I had to really think about it, and I don't want to give it a sufficient, so 5.5 from me. Edge.
Pokemon Genesect and the Legend Awakening is a really interesting film to me. What I thought was going to be the worst piece of Pokemon media we've seen turned out to be just alright. I had some enjoyment of it. It's beautiful, obviously, and while it is unfortunately a step down from the previous two movies, I don't think it's a bad film in the slightest. There are some cool scenes, and it's just a movie that you just take to watch when there's nothing on TV or something like that. We've definitely have seen worse here. It's not heroes, but there are some things I'm disappointed in, such as Charizard not doing anything since this is technically its grand return to a movie.
Not to mention, Genesect is quite weak to fire, so they should have tried at least one C for that.
I think I'm just gonna give this a 6.
Okay.
Right?
Shira.
Yeah, sure. No, I actually quite like this movie. Yes, it's by no means the best, not by quite a bit, but it was still a good time. Aside from the convoluted Mewtwo stuff, I didn't think there was anything else particularly wrong, including the last scene, because it's more than, oh, we're all friends now. It's more like, hey, times have changed, but this is still the same planet you lived on, so you're fine. I feel like it is very Steven Universe, not so much something that like even Steven Universe wouldn't do. Like, no, sorry, it would. It really would. And I do
Rebecca
like
Sugar
that.
saw this movie and decided to dedicate the rest of Steven Universe into.
I like that stuff. Okay.
Yeah, so do I.
I am drawn to this stuff.
Yeah, so do I. I really hope Tom64 does not watch this. Hi, Tom.
Why? Does
Poor
he
Tom.
hate Steven Universe?
Oh, yes.
Oh dear.
Anyway, the music was mostly pretty good. My issue with the ending song isn't the type of song it is. I felt like the mixing was weird.
Mm-hmm.
Like the vocals with the music, I don't know what they were doing, but I don't know. It just sounded off the way it was produced. I talked about the animation, which is really good. And I don't know, I just feel like it's a fairly straightforward, wholesome story that kind of takes a slightly different approach with how this Mewtwo views her situation. And I did like those moments. So I can, like, talking about it now after, because I watched it earlier today at the time of recording this. So, like, talking about it now properly, I am lowering my score for a little bit from what it was. It's still getting a 7, though.
All right. That leaves you, Jova.
This feels like a complicated movie to grade in the sense that what it does wrong, it really does wrong, but it does do some things very well, most notably the animation. Like, the animation, especially for the fight scenes, is on point. And look, I'm a Steven Universe fan like Shiroi and Dead, so I didn't immediately hate the twist with Red Genesect, and thinking about it, yeah, Steven Universe might do this stuff. I guess my issue just comes into how way too quick it is. Like, I don't know, even with Steven Universe, it feels like there's some sense of pace with most, keyword being most, of the redemptions especially. But, yeah, no, like, there are things I like about this movie, but then it just gets hampered down by actually watching it. Like, let me put it like this. When I think back to some of the moments I do like I do like some of the moments with Ash and the baby Genesect, or even, you know, the fight scenes, or even the bouts of togetherness, I smile and I think to it. But then actually watching the movie again, I realize just all the stuff I didn't really care for in and of it here and there. I'd say this, if you're in for a nice and simple Pokemon venture, then yeah, this movie's right up your alley. If you're someone who's very analytical about, you know, the intricacies of the Pokemon lore and universe of the anime or movies, essentially, this might be where it starts to bug you, essentially. I will say this. If I were just watching this to fill time, I'd be fine with this. I wouldn't feel tormented by watching it. I would feel good enough. But in terms of, like, you know, if I'm deeply in on this, my mind would wander to other things and wonder, why am I not watching that stuff instead? At the end of the day, it does have great animation and it does have some good moments. The problem is just the overall skeleton connecting together is not my cup of tea. So, that being said, there are some things I would not rate it too low, though, in the grand scheme. I would probably, though, give it a 5.5 out of 10, like Tio, though.
Alright then. Which puts its score at 24. Wow.
Yeah, my favorite TV show.
Now it's a Disney property.
So, Dej, by all means, tell our audience where the rankings stand now.
And number 17th, with 9 points, Legend of Thunder. 16th place with 13 points, Pokemon Heroes. Selby and the Voice of the Forest is in 15th place with 17 points. Mastermind of Mirage Pokemon is in 14th place with 20.5 points. 13th is a tie between The Rise of Darkrai and Garatina and the Sky Warrior, both with 22 points. In 12th, it's Mewtwo Returns, 22.5 points. 11th is The Power of One with 23. 10 is Genesect and Legend Awakening with 24 points. Number 9 is a tie between Mewtwo Strikes Back and Destiny Deoxys with 25 points. In 8th place, it's a two-way tie with Jirachi Maker and Team Go-Getters Get Out of the Gate with 25.5 points. In 7th place, it's the Black and White movies with 26.5 points. In 6th place, it's Kiram versus the Sword of Justice with 28.5 points. In 5th place, it's Ranger and the Temple of Sea with 29 points. In 4th place is Arceus and the Jewel of Life with 29.5 points. In 3rd place, we have Zoroark and the Master of Illusions with 33.5 points. In 2nd place, we got Spell of the Unknown with 34.5 points. And in number 1, numero uno, cream of the top, Lucario and the Mystery of Neem with a 39.
Finally, you accept it.
Yeah, the joke got old.
Thankfully.
So that leaves us on where to go next.
Not so fast.
Oh my god, what now?
Look around, Digimon 11 TM. It's October, and you didn't even bother to decorate for Halloween. I think we need to fix that.
Oh?
Yeah, what are you doing?
Making the memorable omelets, Dej. Can't fret over every egg.